right. Just about to get going here. Give us another second or two just to plug things in and make certain everything is working. And we should be pretty much ready to go. Should be a short night tonight. Really just not that much going on. For Tuesday, again, little, if anything, really taking place at this time. So we'll continue to hopefully get some better news out there as we get more potential for rainfall coming back as we go into the weekend. But for now, if you have any plans for outdoors, should be able to keep them pretty well at this point, and not much of anything going on in the way of major amounts of problems anytime soon. Excuse me. Allergies or something else these days. What else do we have? Again, for tonight, little if anything happening. Going to be seeing some very quiet conditions over the course of the next several days. So if you have any plans for outdoors, you should be okay for the most part. But there will be the potential of, again, that more rainfall coming on through. Coming up, we've got a little bit of dust in the air. That's something we haven't seen for a little while. That's going to be affecting hurricane season and the potential for our weather to change a little bit, but not by much. And we'll talk why that is coming up here in just a little bit. So stay tuned for that. And in 3 seconds, we'll get it going in Facebook. So here we go. All right, it is just shy of 10 before 10 Eastern Time. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onek. This is Weather Overtime for Tuesday, sponsored by Epicos Comics, Cards, and Games. So welcome to the show. If you've got any questions about what's going on with the forecast, drop them into the comments section. We are live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube for this evening. And again, glad to have you along. So if you have any questions about things, please let us know what you're looking at out there, and we'll give you more details about what we're seeing in the forecast coming up here in just a little bit. Basically, for right now, the best potential for rain is several more days away. We'll continue to see the potential for less in the way of rain. We saw some scattered showers out there earlier today, but those went down toward Atlanta, and then that was pretty much it. If you've never joined us on here before, this is our live video weather blog. You can catch it at any point in time on the repeat at our website, wdef.com/weather, if you'd like to see more there. And this is just our opportunity to talk weather or anything else that may be going on of interest in and around the News 12 viewing area for tonight. And again, if you have any questions, we'd love to see what you're seeing out there for this evening. And hopefully, again, if you got any outdoor plans in the next couple of days, really just not that much going on except for a lot of sunshine, dry air, occasionally breezy, and things should be looking pretty quiet as we get into the rest of the week. Now, toward the weekend, that is where we may see some changes coming our direction. Again, if you got questions, we're monitoring our chat function on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. So if you have any questions, drop them into the comments section, and we'll see what we wind up talking about tonight. There's no script for this. If you're tuning in on Twitch or YouTube and you're looking for something more jazzy and possibly a bit more upbeat, this is not your show, because we sit here and we talk about weather. There's really not much going on. For tonight, I don't do any sing and dancing routines, so if you're looking for something like that, we really don't have that much going on. So for the rest of the forecast into this evening, if you're going to be heading out for a nosh someplace, it is going to be getting much cooler tonight thanks to that drier air that's making its way out of Canada. So the longer you stay out, the cooler it is going to get. So over the next several hours, we should be looking for the potential for some pretty cool numbers, possibly in the 50s into parts of the river valley, if not the lower 60s. So if you're heading out for that late night nosh, you're going to need to take that jacket along with you just to be on the safe side, as we're going to be seeing some pretty cool numbers. But here's the cool thing, no pun intended, you're not going to need the umbrella tonight. That is just not being seen for tonight, or for that matter for the next several days. Thanks to News 12 viewer Frankie Fuller from Chattanooga for a beautiful view. Don't know if this is sunrise or sunset, but it is from the Brainerd area, East Brainerd. Thank you very much for a beautiful HEP heating weather window picture of the day. And if you've got pictures, let's see what you're seeing out there. You can go ahead and send those in to us numerous different ways by email, pictures@wdef.com. Drop into our social media pages in the comments section at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Yes, I know it's called X now, supposedly, but I still call it Twitter, so that's what I'll call it. And you can go to our website, wdef.com/photos, if you'd like to drop it off there. Thanks to the Tennessee Aquarium for letting us borrow the background shot here, the Chattanooga weather cam that's available at tnaqua.org if you'd like to pick up on those web cameras. High temperatures today, just below normal. We should be in the mid-80s for this time of the year, but it's been so nice in the last few days. Temperatures have either been at or below normal and nowhere close to our record high temperature, which hasn't been broken since the 19th century. So that's a long time, and that right there just goes to show we can easily get way up into the high 90s for this time of the year. We're behind for the month by just a little bit, and we're still behind for the year by over 5 inches, but we're doing a lot better than we were a couple of weeks ago with 8.5-inch deficits out there. Not much of anything to report in the way of rain as we see high pressure over the Great Lakes escorting in a very nice chunk of cooler, drier air from parts of Canada, and that is doing a very good job of keeping us cooled off, and it's pushing all of that moisture-rich air back down to the Gulf of Mexico and into and around the Caribbean. So better chances of rain from New Mexico to Florida. Not seeing that much where we are, but that area of high pressure, again, air around high pressure in the northern hemisphere rotates clockwise. So as this area of high pressure moves off the east coast, which it will be doing in a couple of days, that means winds are eventually for us going to switch back around to the south, and that's going to push more of that moisture-rich air up this direction, and that means our chances for rainfall will be coming back our way into the weekend. Definitely not a weekend washout, and so far, chances of severe weather just really not being seen across the area, so just not really getting into too much of a problem there. But anything outdoors, say Sunday afternoon, that's where you may see, again, the potential for some more problems out where it comes with rainfall into the area. So for tonight, it is going to be getting brisk, to say the least. Temperatures will be back in the mid-50s for much of northeastern Alabama in the News 12 viewing area. North central Georgia, you'll be back in the lower 50s, mid to upper 50s across northwest Georgia tonight. So definitely on the brisk side, and even chilly. Western North Carolina, higher elevations here, should be looking at temperatures back in the mid to high 40s, so maybe even a light coat out there for the next couple of evenings. And then lows for southeast Tennessee, lower 50s closer to the North Carolina line, mid to high 50s for the plateau back into the Tennessee River Valley, and a few lower to mid 50s on either side of the I-75 corridor for tonight. Again, brisk, not exactly frosty, but it will be noticeably cooler out there into the rest of the evening, so I want to pay attention to that. Chances of rain will be with us into the next few days, just a bit above normal according to the Climate Prediction Center's short-range forecast. The better potential of right at to just below normal. That'll be up around the Great Lakes, but we will be seeing, again, just a little bit above normal for this time of the year. And over the next several days, temperatures into July are going to be at to just above normal, so no major heat waves showing up at this time. Looking back to the west, the American West looks like it's going to be undergoing a pretty warm series of days. Some of that could be due to El Nino forming down into portions of the eastern Pacific, making certain that things are a little bit more stagnant here, so the heat going to build up across the American West, and that could definitely be an issue if you're heading for camping, say from the high plains to the west coast, going through June and into portions of July. Now, getting into the tropics, the good news for tonight is that there's really literally not much of anything going on. The disorganized mess in the Gulf of Mexico, which was predicted by a couple of the models last week, the killer Category 6, of which there is no such thing, that was predicted by several websites, that ain't happening. Nothing's showing up off the coast of North Carolina where that was expected to go, and we'll talk about that coming up in just a little while. So for the Gulf, the Caribbean, and into the Atlantic, things are quiet and staying dry. Not the case, however, in the Pacific. In the Eastern Pacific, we have one area of disturbance that is just forming right along the Central American coastline, moving slowly west-northwest, and then all the way back out into the Pacific, several days east of Hawaii. There is our new storm system here, Tropical Depression 1E. That is, again, on its way to the west-northwest, but it's got several days, if not a couple of weeks, before it impacts Hawaii. And whether or not this becomes anything stronger, still a little bit on the iffy side for right now. But we do have our first depression of the tropical storm season in the Pacific. So we are seeing a little bit less in the way of activity than what we expected in the last couple of weeks. So good news on that. Now, no conspiracy theories needed on this one. This is a completely and totally normal thing that happens every single year. The Sahara Desert, the winds moving off of Africa, pump a lot of very dry, nutrient-rich air out above the surface of the Atlantic. Now, this has two effects. Number one, this is what feeds the Amazon rainforest, dropping all those nutrient-rich molecules of sand and dust and stuff like that that gets carried aloft across an ocean all the way to another continent. So this right here, there's nothing special about that, but what this also does, the thicker the dust, the less sunlight reaches the surface of the ocean, keeps it from heating up, and stabilizes hurricane season. So it's a good bet that with all of this around, hardly anything is going to be developing in the Atlantic, the Caribbean, or the Gulf in the course of the next several days. So it looks like instead of jumping into the season with a roar and a boom, we are not seeing anything really happen. And if you remember back to about 1992, Andrew was the first hurricane of that season in the Atlantic, and it took a long time, several months, for that season to get going. So we could still see a very active season depending on what goes on with El Nino in the Pacific. But here's the other interesting thing about this dust that is flowing off of Africa over the Atlantic. Notice what happens to a good portion of this heading across the Caribbean, the Gulf. Some of that makes its way up into the southeastern United States. Now, is that going to be a problem? It can, if the dust is thick enough, can settle on surfaces, can be a problem for allergies and stuff like that. In this case, because it is going to be so light by the time it goes from here all the way over to here, several thousand miles, it's a good bet that we will not be picking up too much in the way of dust or dirt settling down to the surface, but it could do a very good job of coloring the sunrises and the sunsets, and all that dust can really enhance the colors at that time of day. Now, is that exactly what's going to happen? Right now, that's what the model is suggesting, but this is, again, about a week or so ahead of schedule, so things can change between now and then, so we'll be watching that carefully. Into the extended forecast, the medium range models for the Global Tropic Hazard Outlook, courtesy of the NOAA Climate Center. This is where we're seeing, again, the best potential for development right in that same area, right through the middle point of June. That's the second week of June and the second week forecast on here that we see. Now, beyond that, as we go into the third week of June, not much of anything really happens. And that's interesting in and of itself, because once again, if you haven't heard, this area of the Pacific is heating up to become a possible quote-unquote super El Nino. The warmer waters here causing rising air that'll cause sinking air over toward the Atlantic, the Gulf, and the Caribbean, which means warmer waters here could curtail hurricane season by a little bit over on this side of the planet. We'll see how well that works. But for right now, we're still waiting to see if it earns that super moniker, whether or not that actually happens. And once again, going back to this, I mentioned this last week, please, please, please be careful about where you get your weather information from. Several of these websites, you don't know where they come from, you don't know if they have any weather acumen, you don't know if they're trying to do anything else rather than hook you in. And this particular page here started talking about a killer hurricane developing off of North Carolina, a very early deadly hurricane. That obviously from a week ago did absolutely not happen. So these websites you really have to watch, and please be careful where you get your online weather forecasts from. A lot of these are designed to do nothing but hook you into watching and knee-jerk reposting stuff like this. Again, if the National Hurricane Center, if the European Center for Weather Meteorological Forecasting, ECWMF, if any of those agencies are not talking about something like this, then it's a good bet it's either not happening or they are waiting to see what more recent models are giving in the way of details. That is very, very important. So again, please use caution and common sense when you're passing stuff like this along. It could save a lot of confusion and maybe even panic in some locations. So again, please use caution when you're dealing with anything like that. A couple of reminders, and this is very cool. This is going on right now. If you want to tune over to see information about weather and climate and how meteorologists, researchers, scientists, the general public can help to talk up and promote information about weather and climate. It's the live stream dedicated to talking about what we need to do to really bring more information out and about and really talk up the subject. It's going on right now. It'll be going on through Wednesday at wclivestream.com, or search Weather and Climate Livestream on YouTube, and you can watch it from there. Again, that goes all the way through Wednesday. Tons of experts, many different topics, many different ways of being able to engage and to talk to people about why we need to protect our planet and what we can do to get that information out there. There's plenty of climate-denying misinformation. A lot of people doing their very level best to say, oh, I don't need to worry about it. Why? Because I'll be dead soon. Or it's just not an issue because the planet is just fine. Well, it is not, and humans are causing a good deal of the damage to our atmosphere, and I may add, to our only home in space. If we mess up this planet, we have nowhere else to go to, and a lot of people are going to be suffering for the wrong reasons. So we have a duty to talk about this as scientists and meteorologists and climatologists, and anybody who can talk the information up and let people know about what this is all about. Here's a good place to start, wclivestream.com, or again, search Weather and Climate Livestream on YouTube and find out much more about what you and I can do to help out when it comes to things like climate information and climate misinformation. Now, let me go, can I go back one here? No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, we're stuck, unfortunately, it looks like. Unfortunately, and again, for tonight, we do see the potential of less in the way of anything involving rainfall coming our direction. See if we can see this right now. Just barely into around the area. Again, looking back here, you can just barely see Venus and Jupiter there getting closer together in the night sky. Really neat little sky show. So if you step out and look to the west, you'll see two of those planets getting closer and closer into the next couple of nights. You can see Venus coming out from behind National Cheese Day there. And temperatures over the next few days will be on the rise. It's going to be a little warmer, but not as much as we saw with our record high temperature for today. Not seeing any 90s, not seeing any high 90s, not seeing any triple digits, which again can happen at this time of the year. So that's something to really consider. Dry up until about Sunday morning, and then more chances of showers and thunderstorms through next Monday. Also World Oceans Day. This is World Oceans Month, if you'd like to do some research on that and find out what we can do to protect our oceans and keep our planet as healthy as possible. In the meantime, good stargazing weather tonight, a little bit on the brisk side, but otherwise, again, not totally terrible out there for this evening, so definitely some good news going on there. All right, for our question of the day, and I didn't even know about this until earlier last week, one of the Beatles, and there's the son of one of the Beatles, helped to put out a posthumous album for one of them, so that kind of gives part of the answer away right there. But the title of the song, weather related, was "Stuck Inside a Cloud," was written and performed by which one of the Beatles? John, Paul, George, or Ringo? Three-way tie for John, George, and Ringo. Sorry, Sir Paul didn't get any votes on this one for tonight, but the actual answer was George Harrison. So that was on his 2002 album, and that was a very neat way to learn a little bit about weather in songs. We'll have a new poll going up at midnight. You can use the QR code to get there, or go to wdef.com/weather for more details on there. So thank you for everybody who voted, and stay tuned to News 12's polling page again at wdef.com/vote now if you would like to vote in any of our other polls there as well. Again, news, weather, sports, and Let's Chat polls are always available there to take a look at. And there you can see a little bit more of Venus and a little bit more of Jupiter as they rotate into view as the Earth turns toward the east. And again, very nice conditions for a little bit of stargazing, something we haven't seen for the course of the last week or so. So not doing too bad where it comes to anything in the way of very good stargazing. Nice to have that ability to go out and take a look and see what is going on. That should do it for tonight. Things are very much on the quiet side. We've been on for about 20 minutes, so we're right about where we should be for this time of the evening. Again, any questions down in the blue bar beneath this, you can see my email address at aonic@wdef.com. You can check in with us here through the website. You can get a hold of anybody at News 12 by checking in at wdef.com. And, of course, we'll have more on the forecast coming up with Chip Chapman early on Wednesday morning, peak of the week. No chance of rain, again, just yet, but could be some by the weekend. Chip will have you updated on that, and time saver traffic coming up into the morning hours. Have to thank, again, our sponsor, Epicos Comics, Cards, and Games, their website at epicosccg.com. If you'd like to check in at your one-stop geek shop, as they call themselves. So thanks a lot to Epicos Comics, Cards, and Games for being our sponsor here for tonight. Again, all this weather information, 7-day forecast, satellite radar information, all of that is available at wdef.com/weather if you'd like to check in there for more. And, of course, I'll have more coming up tomorrow night on News 12, so stay tuned for more with us on air and online. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onig. This has been the Tuesday edition of News 12's exclusive video weather blog, Weather Overtime. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you again coming up on Wednesday.